Hello boys and girls, welcome to another class where we talk about archaeology. I guess we should start talking about archaeology, but we actually can't, guys, because we got to make sure we have all of the right materials for our class today. So grab yourself a bag that has a whole bunch of blocks inside of it, something that looks like some papyrus, wax paper, paintbrush, among other stuff. That's the bag to grab. Also, from inside of your envelope, grab yourself this little tiny styrofoam plate and this piece of paper that has drawings, some writings, hieroglyphics as we call them. And the things that are not included that we will be needing are a pair of scissors, also a very, very small cup of water. Small, we don't really need a lot of water. And something to write with like crayons, markers, any one of those would help. All right, so that being said, once you got all those, let's get started. And again, like how I said earlier, today we're going to be talking about archaeologists.
Archaeologists? What's the archaeologist?
Great question. Archaeologists are really awesome scientists who search and try to discover about ancient artifacts and ancient civilizations. They try to look for things like, things that were left behind, like, maybe arrows, spears, pots, pans, spoons, clothings, all sorts of stuff that people used to leave from a long time ago. Well, why did they leave them there? Well, that's what they try to discover. But it's not just discovering about them. They try to understand how they used to live, how advanced they were, what type of culture they had. And so that's what archaeologists did. And so today we're going to understand about one type of civilization that these archaeologists already understood from a long time ago, which are Egyptians. Now, Egyptians are amazing because they're great inventors. They have invented a lot of really amazing things like, eye makeup. They invented some eye makeup in the past. They also invented something like paper from little papyrus plants. Yeah, you could say I'm putting together something like these. It looks like pieces of paper put together from papyrus. And not only that, they were also one of the first to make the first solar calendar, which is amazing because we're able to know our dates. And lastly, they also invented toothpaste. What would we do without toothpaste, right? Am I right? I'll have stinking breath. We don't want none of that. Right, but one of their most important and one of the most amazing inventions and accomplishments that they were able to make is the pyramids. Yeah, the pyramids in Giza.
A pyramid? What is that?
Well, a pyramid is first, again, made by the Egyptians, and these pyramids were built for very wealthy people, and especially for the king at that time. But we didn't call them kings, we called them pharaohs, okay? And they were built for them as their tomb. So when they died, they put them all inside. But these pyramids took a while to build. Okay, so it will take a lot of workers, probably about 20 to 30,000 workers to build these pyramids, and it took them about 80 years. So what was it made out of? Well, these pyramids, as you can see in this picture, they're kind of like a triangle shape, but when you really look at the base, it's a shape of a square. But this entire pyramid was actually built of smaller blocks of rock. So how did they make these rocks? Well, in a place called the quarry, which is a little bit far away, they would cut out rocks into the exact shape as what they needed, take these rocks, put them on a boat, and then the boat would go straight down the Nile River, okay, straight to where they built the pyramid, and these workers would have to pull these giant rocks that were about 5,000 pounds. That's like 5 polar bears. That's way too much. And they'd have to lug it way up. What they think is about on the side of these pyramids, okay, and so they would have to lug it all the way up. then put it up there. If they needed to make some more minor adjustments, they will cut it because they needed to make it very precise, because in the pyramid, it's not just like, you know, a giant thing that goes straight up. What happened is that inside there are a whole bunch of things like tunnels and rooms for, you know, for these wealthy people and pharaohs, right? Because again, it's a tomb for all of them. And they made it so well that it's even there even today. So to make our pyramid, these are the parts that we're going to be needing. We need that styrofoam plate. We need your pair of scissors. We need the paintbrush that came inside of the bag. Also in the bag was a bag of powder, and there should be a bag of glue and some little pieces, some little blocks that we're going to be making our pyramid out of. 5 larger blocks and then 1 super tiny block. So in any case, once you have all these, then we can begin to make our pyramid. So first thing you want to do is you want to go ahead and grab your glue, and we're going to cut one of the corners, a very, very small cut. But before we do that, we kind of want to move the glue out of the way. So what I like to do is I kind of put it on the side, whichever corner you like to pick, and just squeeze the edge so that there's no glue on that corner, right? And after you do that, take your scissors and just cut a very small, very small hole for the edge of that, okay? Then what we want to do is we want to start putting some glue onto our styrofoam plate to put all of the blocks on top, okay? So have enough so that you can put 4 pieces. So here I already kind of pre-made the pyramid so you could see how it's going to look like, but there's going to be 4 on the bottom, meaning you want to put enough glue to fit these 4 blocks on top of there. So let me put kind of like in a circle, kind of like that. So I put 1 circle, and let's put more circles. You can do whatever you want, just that as long as there's enough glue that you feel would be enough for our blocks to be put on. Once you do that, then go ahead and take your paintbrush and kind of spread it around. There. I think that is good. Once you do that, then we want to take these 4 blocks, okay, and we want to put them right on top of them. Okay, and we want these 4 blocks to eventually again make a square overall, because remember, these pyramids have a square shaped on their on the bottom of the pyramids. Okay, so eventually we want to have something like that. You see, overall, all of these make a large square, like how you see, right? Then after you finish doing that, we're going to put some more glue on top of there, right in the middle here, in between these 4. You can kind of see a little X there, or a plus sign, okay? And we're going to put this one right on top. So we're going to put the glue right under where this is going to be. So go ahead and grab your glue bag again. And if you're having a hard time taking the glue out, it's good if you kind of twist the top, okay? And that way the glue doesn't go upward. But anyway, I'm going to take this glue, just put a good amount onto there, enough so that the block would, you know, flatten itself out right on top of here. So you could use your paintbrush to kind of brush it a little bit on there. And if it kind of moves around, as you can see, my blocks kind of moved away, you could kind of bring them back together, okay? But anyway, let's take the next block, put it right on top. There we go. And after that, we just have one more little guy. So just go ahead and grab your glue again. If you're having issues, just go ahead and twist the top. And again, just go ahead and put the glue right on the top there. And that's good. This time I'm not going to use the paintbrush. I'm just going to take my little small guy here and put it right on the top. And ta-da! Now you don't want to move it around too much because it's still wet. Okay, like mine was a little bit sliding when I held it up like this. And so we don't want that to happen. So you just kind of leave it there to let it dry. Don't move it around too much. But we're not done yet. Remember, these pyramids are in the middle of the desert, right? And so we want to take this type of powder here that kind of looks like sand, and we want to sprinkle it all over it. But we want it to stick. And so how do we make it stick? We add a little bit of glue all over. So again, twist the top so the glue does not go away. And what we're going to do is we're going to spread the glue all over the pyramid, on the tops and even on the outside of our pyramid, because there's even sand around the pyramid. Okay, so I'm just gonna put this glue in all areas, like on the top over here, and then later on I'm gonna take my paintbrush and I'm just gonna spread that glue. And remember, like how I said, even on the outside we're gonna put some glue because the sand is going to be even on the outside of our pyramid. So after I put the glue, then I'm just gonna take my my paintbrush and just kind of spread that around. Okay, get some over here. Does not need to be perfect, but just spread it around nice and even. Okay, and as you can see, I'm also holding the blocks so that they're not moving around too much, right? As you can see, just holding the blocks. Okay, doesn't have to be perfect, just spread that glue as much as you can. And then remember, like how I said earlier, we also want to get the glue on the outside. Does not have to be perfect, just, you know, spread that around so it could catch some of the sand that we're going to sprinkle onto there. That is good. Once you do that, then go ahead and take your bag of sand. This is going to be our sand. Okay, open that up. And don't put it all in one spot. You want to evenly spread it all over. So what I like to do is I like to kind of tap it. So if you gently tap it, you'll see that it starts to come out very little on all places. So just, again, evenly spread it out in each of these places. Remember, you got to do the outside as well, because outside of the pyramids are a whole bunch of sand as well. Okay, but do you see how I'm doing that? I'm just very gently tapping the bag, and it's coming out nice and easy, and it's sticking to our glue. And there you go. You got yourself your awesome little, you know, pyramid that we go here. Now, right about the same time that these great pyramids at Giza were being built in about 2680 BC, 5,000 years ago, right? The Egyptians also started to put their language into writing. Now, the way that they did it was kind of interesting. They didn't use alphabets like how we do, like, you know, A, B, C, D, elemental P. They didn't use those. Instead, they used pictures. And it's pretty cool because we didn't know that these pictures actually represented specific sounds, just like our alphabet. And these pictures, we now call them hieroglyphics, or sacred symbols. And the reason why we call it that is because they're usually found on the walls of the temples that they had at that time. And it wasn't until about 200 years ago, in 1799, when we discovered the Rosetta Stone, did we start to finally understand what these hieroglyphics meant. And for a long time, we didn't really know what it meant. And there was actually a Frenchman by the name of Jean-François Champollion, who was one of the first to finally read Egyptian from these hieroglyphics. And these hieroglyphics weren't only written on these temple walls, they also wrote them on their type of paper. Now, they didn't have regular paper like, you know, we did. Okay? Instead, they had something that was called papyrus paper, like this. And it was made from a plant that was found on the Nile called papyrus.
They made paper out of papaya plants. That's amazing.
I know, right? That's really amazing. Yeah, they took this plant called papyrus, and what they would do is they would flatten each and every single one of them, and they would put them in kind of like a crisscross pattern. And they would mash it all together, making it nice and flat until it came out like something like this. And even when you take a close look at this, you could see some lines going sideways, some lines going up and down. And that's because they had that crisscross pattern. And as you can see, it's nice and flat enough for you to be able to write something on there, or for you to be able to write the hieroglyphics. Like as you can see here, I have some pictures which have specific sounds that make a specific word. Okay, so now that we understand how they made those papyrus papers, we are going to make ourselves our very own papyrus paper. So to make our papyrus paper, these are the parts that we're going to be needing. We need that cup of water. Notice how much water I have. I have very, very little amount of water. So take a small cup, get a little bit of water. We still need the paintbrush from the previous experiment and also the glue. Hopefully you didn't throw it away yet, but we do need the bag of glue. Also, we need the strips of papyrus. There should be 13 and one that's actually real papyrus, and some of the wax papers that were inside of your bag as well. So those are the things that we'll need to make our papyrus paper. But before we make the papyrus paper, take a look at this stack of papyrus that you have. The stack of papyrus paper. You'll notice that most of them feel very flat. Okay, we want to use those, but find the one that doesn't feel flat and smooth. It feels a little bit more rugged. And what I want you to do is I want you to bring this out and examine it. You'll see here that there are the lines that I was talking about. You'll see some lines going sideways, some lines going up and down, which is how they were able to make these papyrus paper, right? They flattened the papyrus plant first, and then they will put them in a crisscross pattern. As we can see, it's a crisscross pattern, right? Up and down, side to side, and then they would mash them all together to make something like this. But you can feel that this was actually made from a whole bunch of different papyrus pieces of papyrus, right? So now that you've felt that, let's put this to the side just for a second. We're gonna get back to that, but let's make our papyrus paper with these flat and smoother ones, okay? So the first step that you wanna do is you first want to get your wax paper and just lay that out nice and flat. Take one of them and lay it out nice and flat, okay? And once you do that, then what we want to do is we want to start to piece these together. So let's pretend that this was a piece of papyrus that has already been flattened. As you can see, it's nice and flat. So grab one, put it right in the middle, all right? So we want to put a little bit of glue on top of that, but how do we put the glue? Get your water and get your bag of glue and just squirt the rest of the glue into this cup because you just want to mix it together. So like how I said earlier, squeeze the top, or rather twist the top so that the glue doesn't go away, and then just kind of squeeze out the rest of that glue into there. And there we go, squeeze it all out. If you don't have as much as I do, don't worry, we just need a little bit. But we put it in the water, just take your paintbrush, mix it up a bit, okay? Don't take forever. We just want to mix it up a little bit. Okay, after you do that, then we basically want to take a little bit of that glue that's been mixed with water and put it straight across our papyrus paper. So let's just take that and boop, boop, done. After you do that, take about four of these papyrus pieces, and we want to put it the other way, how we call perpendicular. Okay, so as we see here, this one's going sideways, then we're going to have this one go up and down. Okay, so just go ahead and grab these ones and put them right on top. There's one, and here's two, and here is three, and one more. Here is four. There we go. All right, so now we put it the other way. So guess what? We take some more papyrus and we're gonna put it the other direction. All right, so now let's take the next four, okay? But actually first, let's put some glue onto there, right? So we wanna put it on each and every single one of these papyrus, pieces of papyrus, straight across, okay? So here goes the glue, right? One right there. And it'll be good to dip it in again for the next part, the next papyrus plant. Right over here. Same thing for the next one. And try not to go anywhere besides on top of your papyrus plant. Okay, and also when you're putting these next four, and when you're putting each of these papyrus plants onto there, make sure that they're nice and straight. Put it down nice and carefully, as careful as you can. Don't go sideways, right? We want it to be as in the same direction as possible, and just put it down as careful as you can. And also, as you can see, I'm putting it carefully right next to the previous one, right? That way they're right next to each other. There's the third one and one more on top of there. But the whole point is, again, we're going crisscross and back and forth, right? So after we do that, we still have four more. So we're gonna do the same thing with what we have here, right? You guys get the pattern now, and just take that, put it on top, and same thing with the second, the third, and the last one. And just like how I said earlier, when you put this on, you wanna be very careful and you want it to be in the same direction each time that you put it. So we put this one this way, then we're gonna put the next one the other way, right? Like this. This one. Remember, has to be the same direction, not sideways, right? As careful as possible, right next to each other. And 3, and finally, one more, 4. So now, as you could see, we've basically put them on top of each other exactly like how the Egyptians did. They would put them in a crisscross pattern, some going up and down, some going side to side, as we just did right now. And then what we want to do to make sure that this stays still is we want to kind of mash it together. And how do we do that? Go ahead and grab your other wax paper, put it right on top. And this is where we need something kind of hard to kind of keep this down. I would recommend get a book, but if you have some sort of box, any sort of box, like here I have my crayon box, I'm just gonna put that right on top of there and leave it there for just about a minute so that it could be nice and squished together, make it nice and flat to make our papyrus paper. Okay, so a cool thing that you could do with these papyrus paper is, especially with the real one. So let me take out this real one, and go ahead and take out your real one as well, is that you could start putting hieroglyphics on there. And same thing with the papyrus plant that you're about to make right now. You could put some hieroglyphics on there, just like how Mega Manoa made this one. You can see here I put some hieroglyphics on there. How did I do that? Well, this is where this piece of paper comes in really handy. As you can see, we have the alphabets corresponding to the image, right? As you can see, the A is an arm, the A is also a vulture, right? So you could pick whichever one that you want. So what did I do here? You can see that it looks like a person. Well, if you look at it, it says right there, it's man. Okay, why did I pick man? Okay, what about the little tiny bird? Oh, it's a little chick. Oh, I see the chick. It says, oh, man, what's the last one? So here's a vulture. What's a vulture? I don't know. Oh, there's a vulture. It's A, so it's man, that's my name. What a thought. Yeah, so guys, you could do your name if you want to. And even, as you can see, I colored it here. So you guys could color it. All right, obviously it's not really colored. So pick whatever you want. Pick out if you want to write your name, if you want to write mom's name, whatever it is. Pick it out and then cut it out just like how I did here too. And then if you want, get a little bit of color onto it. And if you also want to kind of cut out the words on the right corresponding to the letter, what I did is I not only put the hieroglyphics, but the corresponding sounds in our alphabet. Like as you can see here, I got right? And so that's what we could do with this, okay? But after about a minute, right, your papyrus plant should be done, right? It is nice and flat, but it's made exactly like how the Egyptians made their papyrus paper, right? They put it crisscross. And like how I said earlier, right, not only can you put your hieroglyphics on this real papyrus plant, papyrus paper, you could also put it on this guy. You could draw whatever you want on here and, have fun, right? But in any case, guys, today we talked all about these archaeologists. Without them, we would have never understood about these things, right? Even about what these hieroglyphics meant. And so that's the amazing things that these archaeologists do, discover all these ancient artifacts. I hope you guys had a lot of fun. And in any case, this is Mega Manoa, and I will see you at home.